All right, what's going on, boys? We're back. It's Keg, it's Coop, back to break down another NASCAR race pre-race. This week, new track. They're in Illinois at Gateway. As always, my guy Coop's with me. What's going on, Coop?
Well, not much, man. How you doing? I'm just fine.
Hanging in, bro. Hanging in. So last week, Charlotte, right? What were your thoughts on that race in general?
I guess it's the new way they're going to be racing the 1.5 miles, until they figure out the tire issues. Because, it brought a lot of attrition into the race. So I thought, though, that it was a very good race. There was a lot of passing when there weren't cautions. A lot of different leaders. It was a good race, even with all the cautions.
Yeah, it was frustrating because we weren't able. It was frustrating on so many levels, but it was frustrating because we were there all night and we weren't able to cash a ticket. But Denny Hamlin gets it done, basically, I guess, because he was the best car that survived. I guess you would say, right?
He was in the right place at the right time, and he survived.
Yeah. All right. Well, new challenge this week, right? They've never been here before in the Cup Series. What are your overall thoughts on this new track?
I expect a very boring race.
You don't think we see a lot of passing?
None.
Now, what did you think about the truck race? Because I initially thought exactly what you thought. Like, probably wasn't going to be a ton of passing, but like watching the truck race, some cars drove up to the front that were better than other cars. Don't you think?
One, Chandler Smith. He had the best truck in the race by far. He had that little racing incident with Enfinger, which hurt him. But guy drove up from 20th on, 3 separate times. But it's different too. They're not shifting like they're going to be shifting today, and the shifting is what's going to not allow these cars to pass that much, if any, at all.
Yeah, I heard Brendan Gong say that like they may shift down 2 gears going into 2 of those corners.
Yeah, what we saw in practice, they were shifting 3 times.
Yeah. So the comparable tracks to this track, right? I asked you what you thought they were earlier in the week, and you were like Phoenix, Loudon, Richmond, and maybe Martinsville, right? That's basically where you landed. What surprised you in practice? Now, what surprised me was the fact that Elliott and Byron weren't better. Hendrick Motorsports came off the trailer a dead duck, right? They were not able to keep pace with Ford or even Toyota. That surprised me a little bit when you consider how well Chase Elliott runs on these comparable tracks, at least his speed wise. And Byron's looked good on these comparable tracks as well. So they surprised me that they showed nothing. Hendricks showed nothing. On the flip side, credit to you, you thought that Penske was going to be very strong going into the week, and you were fucking dead on. Austin Cindric, though, having speed surprised me because, again, if you look at what he's done at these tracks, not even in the top 20 once in speed. He was 20th on another track in speed and 13th on another. So it surprised me. I understood why you thought like Blaney and Logano. That made sense. Blaney's been a stud all year. Joey Logano has been okay on the comparable tracks, right? And he's pretty good in general, I think, on flat tracks. But the Austin Cindric speed kind of surprised me a little bit. What was it about Penske and Ford in general that you expected them to be so good going into the week?
If you look at the beginning of the year, they were really good at flat tracks that were comparable. So that was the biggest thing for me, and really, the only thing for me. I think, if you listen to all these drivers and what they said, this race is a replica of Phoenix from, it being flat and the size. And, you got that one turn that's similar to Phoenix. And then the other comparison they keep putting out is Martinsville. And the reason they say Martinsville is because you can't pass at Martinsville, and they don't think you're going to be passing here today.
Right. So now Chase Briscoe, where did he win? Was it Phoenix?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously he looked good. He was in a Ford, right, in practice. So my question to you is, I know why you were high on Chase Elliott going into the week. I understand why. And it was surprising to see how much they struggled, right? Do you think any kind of car that's not a Ford wins this race today? I struggle. I think maybe there are a couple cars that are live, but I struggle to see how a Ford doesn't win the race.
Barring any shenanigans, I only think there's one car that can compete with the Fords today, and that's Kyle Busch.
So Kyle Busch looked good the longer the run got in practice. And they looked good in qualifying, obviously. I mean, they looked much better in qualifying than they did in practice. But so outside of him, you don't rate one Chevy against these cars today?
No, I don't think Chevy has a prayer. Reddick was good in the short run speed. He wasn't good in the long run speed.
Right.
Chastain was probably the best Chevy. But when you say he was probably the best Chevy, he's probably around 8th, 9th, 10th amongst all the cars. And, Hendrick is just not good this week. The thing that, sets my mind to that is we've seen this year. Yes, we had a 50-minute practice session, but when you unload bad this year and then you go to these 20-minute practice sessions that they've had, they're not good. There's no time to make any changes, and if you look at, they had 90 minutes after practice to, make adjustments, do whatever.
Right.
It looks like Toyota made some adjustments to the positive in single lap speed. All right. But no idea if they've made any changes that's going to affect their long run speed. And then if you look at Chevy, every single one of them, did not make any grounds whatsoever after, practice going into qualifying. I think Tyler Reddick, is up there, but I think he's going to get eaten up pretty, quickly. Because the thing is, these four Fords of Cindric, Briscoe, Blaney, and Logano, they're fast. But the kicker is they're significantly faster than everybody else except for maybe Kyle Busch.
The longer that, yes.
Yeah. And, if these four Fords get up there, the rest of this field is done. Because they're just going to run around, protect each other until, we get to the end.
And how many of them are starting? They're all starting in the top 6, right? Logano's
7th, Blaney's 5th, and then 1 and 2 for Briscoe.
Right. I have so many. I can't wait for the DFS show because I have so many DFS questions today. But looking at the outright market, I know that you bet a few guys earlier in the week. I bet 2 guys. Did you add anybody since the last time that you and I spoke in the outright market?
No, I mean, I added Blaney early in the week, Wednesday, Thursday, something like that, at 1,000. And then during practice, FanDuel leaves their lines open, and I hit Logano at 1,600. But that's it.
Oh, so you didn't bet Chase Elliott?
No, I bet Chase Elliott is the top 4. Top Chevy, excuse me.
Okay. I thought earlier in the week that you said that you bet Elliott and Blaney, and then you bet Logano.
No, I bet Blaney to win the race because I thought Blaney was going to qualify well, and his odds would go down.
Right.
And I didn't want to bet Chase Elliott because he hasn't qualified well this year, and I didn't think his odds would go down. But I wanted to take the 450 on Elliott because, based upon his numbers, he was the fastest at Phoenix. He was the third fastest at Martinsville and Richmond. That number was really good value for him. He just didn't have good results because of bad, luck and decision making on his team and himself.
Right. So I bet Logano with you, and I didn't bet Ryan Blaney, but I threw a little bit on Cindric when he was 60-1. But I was thinking, Coop, looking, first of all, obviously it's the 3 Penske cars. And we know Chase Briscoe won at Phoenix. He got the pole. I don't expect him to not be very good all day. I think he's going to be good all day long. He could definitely probably hang up there with these Penskes, I would assume. Now, other than those 4 Fords, right? The only other one I was looking at really was Kevin Harvick because he's solid on these types of tracks. Do you think that Kevin Harvick could win this race? Because he was one of the slower Fords.
No.
But no. Okay.
If Kevin Harvick wins this race, there's just as good of a chance that a Toyota or a Chevy win this race because that means there's a lot of carnage.
Right. So you think it's just these 4?
Yes, and my biggest concern is Chase Briscoe.
Why?
Because he is in a incredibly good position. One, he may be the best shifter of all these drivers from what he's shown, on these tracks.
Right.
2, he's starting first, so he's going to get clean air. 3, and perhaps most importantly, he's fast. All right. And then 4, and probably second most importantly, is he has the first pit stop. I don't know if you've looked at these pits or not.
I have, bro. They are ridiculously thin.
Right, and then not only are they thin, but also the track, that they're driving down in there is ridiculously thin. It's 16 feet shorter in width than what Charlotte was.
So he won't have anybody behind or in front of him.
If he stays in that lead, which I think he's going to push extremely, extremely hard to stay in that lead, he has the first pit stop. He's going to come down. He has nobody to worry about. All right, absolutely nobody.
Let me.
Then he gets back out front and go. If in a perfect world, I think there's a chance that he leads every single lap of this race.
Let me set a scene. How many times do you think during this race you and I are going to say to each other, he hit him, he was pulling out, and he hit him on pit road. He was pulling out, and he hit him on pit road. How many times do you think we're going to say that today?
3 times, because I don't see them pitting more than 3 times. They're going to pit at the end of stage 1, and they're going to pit it, at some point in stage 2, and then they'll pit at some point in stage 3.
Did it rain?
No, it did not rain. No competition caution.
Okay.
If these guys are not going to want to pit unless they absolutely have to because of the track position, and then the fact that there could be a lot of issues on pit road. So,
do you think 2 tire stops will work out in your favor today?
I think 2 tire pit stops are good to gain track position, but it's not a winning strategy unless you have 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 drivers that take 2 tires and you're the first couple out.
Right.
And you've really blocked off the ones that have 4 tires.
Right. So which I said all this, which is what leads me to my next point. I was contemplating taking Briscoe and Blaney because I already have Logano and Cindric, right? So I was contemplating just betting them and rolling those 4 into the race, which you and I never do. But I mean, they looked like they had such a substantial advantage.
They do.
What do you think? Like, do you? I mean, betting Chase Briscoe at 10-1 is hard to swallow for me. I'm not going to lie, but I mean, the circumstances in the race. What do you think? Do you think he's worth a bet?
This is the thing. You're going to have to make that decision early because, you can get him at 9.5, 8.
No, not early. Race.
Well, yeah. Well, you can do that too. I prefer to do it within, let's say, the first 5 laps to see if he's going to get that clean air or not, and if he's going to be able to hold off Cindric for the lead.
This is
because I think
if fast.
Right, exactly. Like if I think if Cindric gets the lead, he's going to be in the lead, for that first stage. So, you're going to have to bet one of them quickly. And then I talked about the pit stalls for Briscoe. Well, Cindric has just as good of one, he's in 4th. So if he stays up there.
Oh, he's got empty space in front of him.
He's got empty space in front of him, and he's going to have very few cars, to worry about. Yeah. Blaney, has a solid one up front, but the only driver he has to worry about is if Corey LaJoie gets a lap down, which there's a chance that he does, he's good. The one that I worry about most of the top drivers is Joey Logano. Logano he's pitting all the way in the back, or one of the first stalls as you come off of the track into pit road. He has nobody in front of him, all right? But he has that whole pit road of where people can jump out in front of him, and cause accidents and stuff like that. And, that worries me because, there might be some people that try 2 tires and, do that, so on and so forth. But, that's, a concern for me with Joey Logano. So,
that's a solid point.
I liked what I mentioned about Kyle Busch. But Kyle Busch might have one of the worst ones because he's got Keselowski behind him, and then he has I want to say Austin Dillon, but I don't think it's Austin Dillon. He has Haley in front of him. So if they stay on the lead lap, he could have some problems because he's going to be there before Justin Haley. And depending upon how Justin Haley pulls into his pit, it could be an issue for him getting out.
Switching over to DFS for 1 second, I was thinking about playing Kyle Busch today. What do you think about him?
I have some.
Okay. That's good enough for me. So how of those 4 drivers, how many are you going to have pre-race going into the race?
Logano and Blaney. And then I'll jump on Briscoe and Cindric really early because I'm with you. The numbers are going to go down quickly. And if it was me and I was the bookmaker, Briscoe would be plus 500. Logano would be plus 600.
I'm going to bet.
Blaney would be plus 650.
I'm betting them.
Cindric would probably be plus 8 or 850.
I'm going to take these 10-1s on these other 2 guys. If it costs me money, it costs me money.
The other thing that I'm looking at to try to get a little bit better number, and it's something that we've got to decide upon by let's say 115. All right, if I'm right, is parlaying some of these drivers with Billy Horschel to get a little bit better number.
Bro, I was just gonna. I literally brought that up. I wanted to know what you thought about that.
Now, Horschel has a 5-stroke lead.
Yeah, and they're giving him no respect. He's like minus 175.
So, one, he's Billy Horschel. 2, this track played pretty tough yesterday for the players who went out late, which is what he's doing today. I'm really wanting to keep an eye on, is there anybody who can come back and shoot like a -5, 6, and 7 like he did yesterday?
I also wanted to ask you about Cam Smith, because he's playing like the second best golfer in the world lately, him and Scotty Scheffler, right? So he's what, in second place, 5 strokes back?
5 strokes is a lot, though.
That's my point, though, and that's why you initially brought it up. Do you think that we should consider that? I mean, it seems so absurd to parlay an outright NASCAR winner with an outright golf tournament winner, but he does have a 5-stroke lead.
Correct me if I'm wrong, all right? But the issue is, all right, he tees off at 125.
Okay.
That tournament goes live. It doesn't go live for him until he tees off, right?
Okay.
Right?
You mean his number?
Right. Like, to be able to parlay, because like if you can't parlay a live with a non-live.
You can't. You can't. I think I do that all the time.
Man, I when I was doing it yesterday, it wouldn't let me do it. It would not let me parlay Horschel, who was live.
You could be right.
With the NASCAR drivers who obviously weren't live.
Right.
So
I'm not sure.
there's a 2-hour period, between when he tees off and the race starts.
Right.
So a lot could happen in those 2 hours. He could be, down to a one-shot lead.
700 also, right?
Or he could be -700.
Right. Yeah.
So that's why I'm really, really looking at, I want to look at, like, is anybody making a move? All right. Because I'm not going to go out there and count on him.
I can parlay them right now on DK. Billy Horschel and Briscoe is 13-1.
Right. You can parlay them now. All right. But my issue is, once Horschel tees off, I don't think you can parlay them until the NASCAR race goes live.
That's an interesting thing to know. I never really paid attention to that. Okay.
Well, here, hey. All right, go into DK right now.
Yeah.
We should be able to answer this question. Hold on.
Baseball.
What are the odds on Xander Schauffele
in golf?
Yeah.
1,500 to 1, I think.
All right, parlay him with one of Briscoe, Logano, or Blaney, and see if it allows you to, because Schauffele is playing right now.
Right.
And those aren't, so that should be able to tell us,
Sure.
if we can or can't.
Yeah, you can.
Okay, so maybe it's just certain books you can or can't. Try it on FanDuel.
It's like 13,500.
Yeah, I just picked him. Because I knew he was live.
So you can. You can. Maybe you can on FanDuel.
Maybe it depends by book. So, but
all right,
something to think about. We got to watch.
All right, so we covered the outright market. We have to respect the speed of Ford, and that's that. Top 3s and top 5s. I know that you bet something with Joey Logano where you got a really good number. That number's long gone though, right? Looking at these odds, is there anything that you see that you like?
For top 5?
Top 5, top 10's basically a dead market now. But
right. Top 5? No.
Okay.
No. And I mean, even top 3, I can't do that either.
Yeah, imagine Chase Briscoe being plus 150 to be in the top 3. What a world! But 22.
But I mean, I'll just ride my Joey Logano plus 460 to top 3.
Yeah. So Ford to win the race is plus 140. I feel like I have to bet that too.
Yeah, on MGM you can get it at 155.
Yeah, so that's probably good for anybody that's watching right now. I'll probably be on that. All right, so I don't see any. Do you see any top Ford lines? I don't this week.
On DK doesn't have them, but
No.
MGM has them.
Oh, okay.
And Briscoe, Logano, and Blaney are all 275. Cindric is 525. Amarola is 900, and Harvick's 1100.
So they're pretty much priced appropriately.
Right. So, but my question for you, if you look at team manufacturer, I mean, I bet Elliott to be the top Chevy at 450. He's now 500 on MGM. Do I let it ride and hope? Because if I had to rank based upon what we saw
Chastain
so far this week,
yeah,
it would be Chastain, Reddick, and then Elliott and Larson as the top fours. So, I mean, I think he has an outside shot. And I think in the race, he's going to be better than Reddick. But, he's starting so far back. It's going to be hard with Reddick starting so far forward. Do I pivot off of that and put one on Chastain or Reddick, or do I just bet Reddick and Chastain and just
I feel
to make a little bit of money?
I feel pretty comfortable in saying that Ross Chastain is probably going to be the top Chevy here. He has a win on this track already. He's week in and week out, probably the best Chevy on the track. I think he's probably going to be the top Chevy today. And I wouldn't have thought that based on the green flag speed that we've seen from Chase Elliott on the comparable tracks. But Hendrick's a dead duck. They're just dead this week. I don't know how they find that much speed. They can't.
My only concern with Chastain is he's due for some negative regression. And
Sure.
We're starting to see it. We haven't seen it with the car because the car has been fast. But, I mean, we saw it at Texas All-Star Race where he had, was in the wrong place at the wrong time, had some issues, crushed Kyle Busch. And then obviously last week, it was a racing accident, at the end of the race, that took him out. But he had a great car. But, when you look at this year, all right, and you look at the ups and downs of Toyota, you look at the ups and downs of Hendrick Motorsports, like, what is he doing to have a fast car every single week? Like,
I don't know.
There's got to be something, and that what makes me believe that like something is going to happen. He's going to start getting some negative regression here at some point.
I think that both Tyler Reddick and Ross Chastain, both of them, have a much better chance based on what we saw over the weekend to be the top Chevy than anybody coming out of the Hendrick camp.
I mean, it's almost like I just want to take Chastain and Reddick at plus 310 and plus 400
and treat it like a group.
And like if Chastain wins,
what numbers are you getting? What numbers?
310 on Chastain and Reddick 400.
Where is that?
MGM.
Those are good numbers. They're plus 250 at DK.
Right.
So
because if I bet both of them, I basically call it even, and then if somehow Elliott wins, I win a little bit more money.
That's why I asked, because you wouldn't do that at plus 250, but you could do that with those numbers. Yeah. I don't mind that at all. I mean,
it's I'm basically just trying to get out of the bet, and I'm praying that like Kyle Larson doesn't end up top Chevy somehow.
Sure. Top Toyota, I think that Kyle Busch and Bubba Wallace are probably going to be the best Toyotas today by a wide margin. What do you think?
I think they're all pretty much equal except for Marty.
Poor Marty. And
I would give Kyle Busch the edge, but another driver. All right, if I were to bet one of these, it would be Kurt Busch.
Why?
Because he's been fast, all right? And, all right, if he can get himself, he starts 11th, but if he can get himself up to like 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th,
Yeah.
he can gain a couple spots on pit road possibly, because he's pitting right behind Briscoe. And if Briscoe stays in front, Briscoe's gone, and then
Right.
Busch right next to him.
Okay, that makes sense.
So I like his pit chances too. I like that number plus 625. I don't know if I'm going to make it or not, because his brother's pretty strong, I think.
Poor Marty is entering that Jimmy Johnson, Kevin Harvick realm on this show. He's on his way. All right,
he is.
All right, driver props, matchups. Did you see any matchups that you like this week?
Yeah, I bet one earlier, right after I bet Joey Logano to win, and that was Joey Logano. And you know how much I hate betting these head-to-heads, especially when I'm not getting a plus number.
Yeah.
But I bet Logano minus 110 against Alex Bowman.
Where?
I was on FanDuel. It's gone. Like 3 minutes after I bet it, Sign Collectibles was like, "Where did you get that number?" Because it's minus 136.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't see anything I liked.
Right. And then since then, they've taken down all of them. I don't really like any of them, but I mean, hold on, let me pop up on here. DK.
I would take Briscoe over Reddick, but I don't want to lay $1.20.
Right. I don't mind taking a shot at Kurt Busch at plus 115 against Amarola at minus 140.
Amarola good though.
Amarola's really, he's really good.
Yeah.
Right? He's really good. But I don't think he's like, I think this should be more closer to like a minus 110 versus minus 105. Like, they're giving Kurt Busch no respect whatsoever.
Yeah. He's had a fast car all year. Yeah.
I don't mind that. I mean, I can't take Chris Bell at minus 240 against Alex Bowman. I mean, if Chris Bell's a minus 240 against Alex Bowman, what do you think Logano would be now?
Like probably minus 350, maybe.
Denny minus 135 against Marty. I'm like that with you. Chastain against Elliott. I think it's just too close. And if I had to bet that, I would take my shot on Elliott because it's a plus number. Briscoe against Blaney, too close. Kyle Larson against Kyle Busch, minus 110 each.
I like Kyle Busch there, but
right.
Matchups did not go our way last week.
Reddick against Bell. I think that's a toss-up. Could go either way. Chastain minus 190 against Byron. All right, so hold on. Ross Chastain minus 190 against Byron. You really like that?
Ross Chastain minus 190 against Will Byron. I mean, going into the what's the comeback on Will Byron?
160.
Going into the week, I would have taken that blindly. I would have bet Will Byron blindly because he's good on these tracks. I don't know what the fuck happened to Hendrick this week. I don't like any of these matchups. The matchup.
Hold on. Do you really think Chastain's that much better than Byron? I do.
Based on practice, I mean, yeah. Look at their times.
And do you think Bell is that much better than Bowman?
Yeah.
All right. So if you parlay the two of them, you can get them for plus 116. Not something I'm going to do, but just for anybody out there who's interested, there's a way to get a positive number on them.
Did you look at any of the groups?
Yeah. The group that I actually like the most is Group D. Suarez 220, Wallace 220, Keselowski and Austin Dillon are 280. I would take Bubba Wallace at plus 220. I mean, Toyota had a lot more speed than these guys. Keselowski and Dillon are starting like 29th and 30th. Bubba's going to be like 10 positions ahead of them. Barring any shenanigans, which, Bubba Wallace has had a lot recently, so he's due for some positive regression. He only has to beat Suarez, who's starting 22nd or 23rd, I believe. So I think Wallace has a significantly faster car than all three of them.
The only group that I was a little interested in was Cindric alone in that group with Elliott and the two Gibbs drivers at plus 250. But I didn't bet it. I didn't bet any group at all.
I don't mind that at all. Don't mind that at all.
All right. Stage 1, we have a substantial edge, in my opinion, in this race. So
where are you getting those at?
Right now, Bet365, but DK should post them. They always post them later on than Bet365. But Briscoe is 5.5 to 1, and Austin Cindric is 7 to 1. I will be betting them both, and probably just taking my chances. I don't think I'm going to take a third. I probably not.
The first stage is only 45 laps, so that's a big, what is Logano? I mean, are there drivers that are shorter than him on odds?
Well, Ryan Blaney is 7 to 1, and Joey's 8 to 1.
So they're the two favorites, and they're starting them at 5 and 7.
Yeah, 5.5 and 7. But there's 4 guys at 7 to 1: Chris Bell, Blaney, Reddick, and Cindric.
Yeah, I would do the same thing if DK opens up with those same numbers.
That's getting, and if they do open up, if DK, not everybody could bet 365. It's only offshore in New Jersey. If they open up on DK and they're relatively the same price, they're both going on the sheet. It's a 45 lap shootout, and it's hard to pass. They're going to get separated slightly, and we might get one run and just cash an easy ticket. So stage 1, I think you have to attack today. Other than that, Coop, do you see anything else from a betting perspective worth talking?
Yeah. So manufacturer to win, do you have those odds?
Yeah. Plus,
wait, hold on. Do you know what they are? Don't look at them. Do you know what they are?
We talked about it already. I told you I was going to take Ford at plus 140. You said I can get.
Excuse me. Sorry, team.
Oh, I didn't see them.
Okay, so who would be your favorite?
Obviously, Penske. Obviously.
What do you think the number is?
I think based on what we saw in practice, the number should be something like plus 250. What is it?
So Joe Gibbs is the betting favorite, plus 270.
Why? Because of the flat track respect?
I guess. I don't know.
Okay.
Penske is plus 325.
Okay.
All right. Hendrick Motorsports is plus 350.
Okay.
Stuart Haas is plus 525. Do you take Penske and Haas?
What are the numbers again?
325 and 525.
Here's what I would say. If people are not betting outrights pre-race, I would probably take Penske and Stuart Haas. I'm probably going to take the 3 Penske drivers and Briscoe pre-race. So I'm not going to bet that because I don't want to be like disgusted with life if they all go down in flames. But if you're not betting an outright going into the race, I would say, yeah, that's a good way to attack it. Taking Penske,
because those numbers. I don't know all the logistics of how these sports books set shit up and so on and so forth, man. But based upon what we saw, like those numbers should be lower.
Well, think about this. How do they justify those numbers when Ford's plus 140 to win the race? The betting favorite. I don't know.
It doesn't make sense, because I'm looking at this on MGM, all right? So Ford is the betting favorite at 155.
Right.
The team favorite is Joe Gibbs at 270. All right. The second manufacturer favorite, actually tied with Ford, is Chevy at 155. Right? And Hendrick is at plus 350. All right. And then Toyota's plus 225 and Gibbs is plus 270.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bet my outrights pre-race, and I'm going to take Ford at plus 155. And those will and then the stage one, the 2 stage 1 bets. And those
my only worry about that is like Kyle Busch just slowly creeps up.
If
as the race goes on.
Have to take them, I'll take them to hedge off.
No. I'm talking about betting the manufacturers, because I don't think there's any. Betting the teams. Excuse me.
Oh,
because I don't think there's anybody who can beat Penske or Briscoe. And I also think that Stewart Haas in general is going to race better during the race than what they practiced.
Why?
Because they're better long run cars. They do better long run drivers. Like Harvick and Amarola do better on the longer runs.
I think if you look at the comp, I think that Kevin Harvick, I know that he was one of the slower Fords.
Right.
I think that he could have a really solid day. Do you like him in DFS today?
Oh yeah, I love him. But he's starting 20th. All right. And we know it's going to be so hard to pass.
Yeah.
And these 4 Fords of Penske and Briscoe, they're significantly faster than Harvick.
Let me see what the 15 lap average was. Joey did a 33.2. Harvick did a 33.6. That's 0.4 of a second. That's substantial.
Right.
Yeah. That's a lot.
The other interesting thing is every freaking week we can either go on DK, who hasn't released any crazy props yet.
Yeah.
Or we can go on MGM, and they have some crazy props. Although they're not up right now. I did not find any, Penske to all finish top 10s bets.
No,
not one at all.
I would have contemplated, do I bet Penske to all finish in the top 5 this week?
Exactly. Right. And look, we know they're really, really good because Wood Brothers is a affiliate of them.
And Harrison Burton's running well. Yeah.
He's qualified 9th, man.
I know.
He had one of the fastest times of his peer group.
That was another DFS question I had.
All over Harrison Burton, man.
People are going to be scared off, don't you think, because of his starting position?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm getting better at this. Let's go. I'm going to start making money in DFS one day. All right. I guess we finished 15 minutes early. It's Penske, boys. It was always Penske, or Chase Briscoe. JJ and Joey and Holden are coming up in 15 minutes. What?
it's really, I guess it's really risky. But Briscoe, Logano, and Blaney are all plus 325 to finish top 2.
Say that one more time.
Briscoe, Blaney, and Logano plus 325 to finish in the top 2.
No, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing. You better settle the fuck down, Coop. Because if the Fords shit the bed today, I might be 10K deep. I mean, you got to settle down. It's only 11 o'clock. All right. JJ, Joey, and Holden are coming up at 12 for the Sunday MLB show. And then immediately following that show at 1 o'clock, you can catch me, Coop, JJ, on the Run Pure Sports side, doing the DFS and bets video. And then obviously, if you're a KegCast subscriber, Coop and I will do what we do later on. And aside from that, regardless of what you guys bet today, I hope you crush it. And we'll see you in about an hour over on the DFS.
Hey.
What?
What about the basketball game
Tonight?
Do you have a significant lean on one of those two? Because we could parlay that game and the winner too. We can do that more, later too.
I'm not really a basketball aficionado. We have Tyler and spread for that. I tailed you on the Celtics game 1. You got that home for me. I don't know what to make of that. Was crazy. It looked like Golden State was in cruise control, and then they couldn't make a shot in the fourth quarter. Boston went crazy, and I don't know. I would expect Golden State to bounce back and not go down 0-2.
But I mean, it's something that we can look at during the race.
Sure. Yeah.
Another way to get a little bit better numbers, possibly.
That's
Although
fair.
I feel more comfortable with Billy Herschel in a 5-stroke lead than that game.
Yeah. Maybe I'll hold off. Maybe I was just going to bet them because I have Cindric and Logano. I was going to bet Blaney and Briscoe now. Maybe I'll hold off and we'll see what he does. Like, if he really looks like he's going to run away with it, maybe then I'll bet them all pre-race. So maybe I'll hold off.
The other thing is I don't want to bet any more bets, and the race starts at like 3:40 or something like that. I don't want to make any more bets until like 3:25, because if one of these drivers has an unapproved adjustment that goes to the rear, you're dead.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And also, if you aside from what Coop and I said about Penske and Chase Briscoe winning this race, a very important angle that you could take advantage of today are stage 1 winning props. So make sure you guys grab the 2 guys on the front row if you can, because I think that's a plus EV spot for sure. All right, we're out of here. We'll see you guys in an hour on the DFS side. Later.